By the time you get to week 15, then you're going to start to realize why everyone's all hyped around Boldenone. And then once you push above that, you can just continue accumulating more and more lean quality tissue. What is up, everyone? It's Roos. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's ASMR sip is 1907. Check out 1907.com. Coupon code Russo ASMR Spritz Intelligent Carbon. Today on PEDucation, we are going to be talking about Equipoise Boldenone Undeclycenate. I probably butchered the shit out of that. So, as always, the reference is the Anabolic's 11th edition. I highly recommend you guys get this book if you guys are into PEDs. This is a great starting point. I'm going to reference the history, but I'm more going to be going into how I personally felt using Boldenone, as well as what's commonly known with it. But if it looks like I'm reading off this book, I am referencing it. This was written by doctors, and I wanted to highlight the history as well as the formal medical literature around it compiled by doctors. So I just wanted to caveat that. Please like this video to rank it in the YouTube search algorithm, as well as comment your experiences with EQ down below, because this is kind of a controversial compound where there are stuff in this book that is argued about, and I just overall want this to be an interactive forum post where I just kind of lay out what I know and then I educate myself further in the comments, because this is a very important compound in professional bodybuilding, believe it or not. Whether you like it or not, the most commonly used compounds by the top pros, Tren, EQ, right? That's responsible for a lot of pro card wins, and you see it time and time again when you get the chance to see some of these top bodybuilders pro cycles, is that EQ is always heavily in there, and we're going to go into why and personally my experience. All right, getting into this book, the androgenic anabolic reading. The androgenic reading is 50. Anabolic being 100, and for reference, testosterone is 100. Boldenone Undeclycenate is a veterinarian steroid primarily used in horse racing. It was given to horses to, again, give them more drive, make them run faster, give them higher endurance, and impacts overall muscle mass, right? So if you have a racehorse, you spent 6 figures on a racehorse, you're gonna give it some Boldenone because you want it to get those wins on the track. So the pharma company Ciba patented Boldenone around 1940, specifically 1949. So this is a older compound than Dianabol. This is the OG godfather, and this is basically injectable Dianabol. If you look at the chemical structure, again, there's very similar to Dianabol, where they're modifying in the biochem. I'm not a biochem expert, but they're modifying the chain, so it's an injectable oil-based compound. Specifically, if you like the biochem, it has the introduction of a double bond between carbons 1 and 2, which is relative to estrogenicity and androgenicity. Equipoise contains Boldenone modified with the additional carboxylic acid ester at the 17-beta hydroxy group. Esterified steroids are less popular than free steroids and are absorbed more slowly from the area of the injection site. So as far as side effects, before I get into what you can expect with results, right? This compound is heavily noted to increase red blood cell count. It's going to go through the roof, which, what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to have way more endurance. This is like Lance Armstrong increased RBC count, right? Because he wanted his muscles to never run out of gas. That's a benefit of EQ. The opposite is that your blood turns to sludge. Your heart has to pick up, impacted by blood pressure. If this blood thickening gets out of control, then the kidney filters FGS. I'll have Andrew throw up FGS starts happening. So again, these are all things you got to take into consideration. And then if you are on top of your biomarkers, if you are pulling your blood thickness every once in a while, you can face none of these issues. I will get into my personal shit right after, speaking about the overall, medical administrations that were done around the 90s with Boldenone. So physique or performance enhancing purposes, it's most commonly used at a dosage of 200 to 400 milligrams per week. The dosage can be scheduled further as the serum concentration builds up. A thing that you need to note with Boldenone is that it's not gonna be at peak concentration till like being 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks on it. So you basically have to do a 16-week blast with Boldenone if you're going to reap the benefits, meaning like at week 10, you know, that's when the Boldenone should be kicking on and you should be still on the gain train, right? Not much is going to happen until it really reaches that concentration, and that's that undecenoate fucking ester in action, right? Can be argued that that ester can go anywhere from 7 to possibly 25 plus days, right? Depending on how it behaves in your body. So this isn't one of those compounds that you can easily just get on and get off of. This is very, very advanced user type material. If you're already cruising on testosterone and you want to add in a cosmetic compound to build mass or cut up over time, and you plan to run this for a long period of time, meaning if you do not have the money to buy enough Boldenone to go to week 16, don't do it. And personally, if your blood work still looks good around week 16, I would continue on with Boldenone, because that's the whole point. It takes so long to get this shit saturated in the body that you might as well go in for the long run if you're trying to build a pro physique. And this is where, you know, IFBB Pros like Boldenone so much, right? They're on gear pretty much year round. They might take like 2 months off the gear out of the year to reset their receptors. But other than that, you know, they're basically on the whole time. They ran Boldenone through their off season. Boom, by the end of their off season, when they're going into prepping, that Boldenone is heavily active, holding the tissue, accumulating the tissue that they have built over months of being on Boldenone. That's where it shines. That's where it shines. That's why it can't really be replaced. And that's why, despite the side effects of Boldenone, it's still used to this day. And despite it being one of the first steroids ever in existence, it's still very popular because this stacks up results over such a long period of time, right? Week 8, you're not going to notice much. Week 10, you're not going to notice much. By the time you get to week 15, then you're going to start to realize why everyone's all hyped around Boldenone. And then once you push above that, you can just continue accumulating more and more lean quality tissue. As far as the look, it's completely dry. There's not very much gynecomastia, estrogen concerns with this compound. Obviously, all steroids fuck up the heart, HDL, LDL. You have to worry about the blood thickness issue, right? I had a friend on Boldenone, and he was at a body fat where there shouldn't be any veins, right? Just straight up. And he's taking Boldenone because he read into Boldenone. Boldenone's a great compound, and you know, he jumped to Boldenone right off the bat because he wanted to use the best without any sort of base physique. Anyways, he's showing me these veins in his legs, and I'm like, you should probably go donate blood, because that should not be happening at that body fat, and your blood is thick as sludge, and it's just a matter of time. You're fucking around with thick blood, that something hemorrhages, and we're not having a good discussion about you, right? So that's number one. Number two is the mental side effects. I'll tell you my personal experience. So I'm very aware of my frequency. I'm very aware of my mood. My mood goes up and down my entire life, way before steroids. Boldenone always takes me here. Right, it takes me 2 notches down. I notice it every single time I go on Boldenone. It's something to expect, is that the depression is real on Boldenone. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that, and maybe they just don't pick up on it, but just know that it is going to dip your mood. It's been noted in this book to cause mood changes, and I definitely notice it, right? It's not like Ostrine or Dianabol or testosterone, which makes me more confident, more uplifted, more driven. EQ definitely makes me feel like semi-down and overall in a muddy mind state. That's what I notice. How does Boldenone shine? Where does it slot in? It's very universal compound, right? You can use Boldenone to bulk, accumulate lean tissue over a long period of time, similar to Primobolan, but just much cheaper. You're just paying the cost with the extra blood thickness side effects and the potential kidney toxicity. Touching on the potential kidney toxicity is that it's noted in this book by doctors. Vigor, Steve, and Alec have again come on YouTube and argue that that's a bunch of bullshit, and that's more related towards, again, the blood thickness, how your kidneys are performing, and overall your blood pressure. Your blood pressure, how much it's like, how fast it's being shoved through that filter is the main thing that you got to keep in concern, because again, all steroids impact blood pressure, all steroids fuck up the heart, and all steroids are going to cause RBC count to go up at least a little bit, with EQ being the worst. Another downside of EQ is if you don't like it, it takes forever to get out of your system. So it's like Deca, right? If you take Deca, you saturate it up, well, guess what? It's still going to be in your system for like months after. Same thing with EQ. So this is a very advanced compound. I won't jump to EQ right off the bat. Normally a testosterone base, and then EQ is scaled, and then EQ is run for more than 16 weeks, where you're either cutting down, holding on to your size, building more tissue, and using all that extra endurance in the gym to do more hypertrophy sets, which causes more sarcoplasmic training volume type muscle. And you do it like that, or you do it bulking wise, have more endurance in the gym to bulk up, accumulate that lean tissue, and then switch it up when you go into a prep. That is the main two ways Boldenone is used. Boldenone is also very popular, like I said, in the top of the IFBB because of the look it gives you. It's a very clean look, and if you again are a pro that's on PEDs pretty much all year, if you're running Boldenone the whole time and you scale it aggressively and you milk the results over that long period of time of the slow gain train, when you're time to compete, you're left with a lot of quality tissue that's actually full and bubbly. That's the look that it gives, and it's been proven to be in a lot of pro cycles. I know I'm over here Mr. SARM's guy that no one fucks around with those. EQ's very popular and will remain popular for the oncoming future. That's what I personally noted. I stay away from Boldenone unless I'm going to compete because of the mental aspect, right? I feel like your mental health is wealth. So I personally don't fuck around with NPP because it fucks with my mental health, and I don't really like EQ. If I had to pick NPP or EQ, I would pick EQ, and that the results are no joke if you stay on EQ for a long period of time. But a lot of people buy enough EQ for 8-10 weeks. That's not enough fucking time. You might as well do something else. That's a waste of fucking time, and you're not going to get any of the benefits. Then you're going to go online and you're going to say EQ's bunk when you don't even understand you have to be on it for an extremely long period of time for you to reap the rewards. That's like the main thing. The other main thing is you got to watch the fucking blood thickness and blood pressure. You can't just be blasting Boldenone for 6 months. All your veins are super thick and you're like, oh, I'm getting more vascular. No, your RBC count, your blood thickness is going through the roof, and you need to either donate blood or get that under control. Blood thinners, I don't know what you want to do, baby aspirin, but please don't underestimate the blood thickness, right? It's not fun in games, and that just fucking ruins all your veins. It ruins them all. And so you don't want a bunch of varicose veins, and you are very much playing around with that when you're doing higher dosages of Boldenone. As far as the kidney toxicity, I feel like, again, it comes down to blood pressure, blood volume, and if you're just keeping up with shit, right? If Alec is giving all his clients Boldenone and he's pulling their bloods every 6 months and he's not really seeing any kidney strain, he's gonna point bullshit. If there's that idiot out there that's blasting Boldenone, blood pressure, doesn't even fucking check it ever, there's a walking heart attack, you're gonna go and pull his bloods and his fucking kidneys are gonna look torched, and then everyone's gonna point the finger at Boldenone, which it could be cascading into those side effects. But we here at Harm Mitigationville, we want everyone to use PEDs as safely, as responsibly, and overall we need to keep in mind that not everyone is on the same level of knowledge, and we need to get this knowledge out there so people utilizing compounds can make smarter decisions with their personal health. I'll see you guys in my next video.